Hello everyone, I'm Kirby, this is Kirby Meets Audio, and today we're going to talk about mistakes. A few weeks ago, I made a build video on open baffle speakers. You can check it out right up here if you haven't seen it yet. I've never made open baffle speakers before. I've never even heard open baffle speakers before. But if they worked, I was really excited about how simple the build process is with an open baffle speaker. It's basically just the front baffle. There's nothing behind just the front piece of the enclosure. And I was just, I was curious. I did very little research, but I was interested, and I wanted to learn by doing. I just wanted to dive in. Whatever I didn't learn from doing, I was hoping to gain insights from you guys, from this community here. One of my design goals was to get good sound, and I totally failed at this. They sounded thin, they lacked bass, they just didn't sound very good. But that's okay, because my main goal was to experiment with something new and to learn some stuff. And in failing, I succeeded at those. In a driver's TS parameters, there's a measurement called QTS. The QTS, or Q of a driver, is a measurement of how much control a driver has over its own movement, basically. So we can use that measurement to determine whether a driver should be used or is better used in a vented or sealed enclosure. Generally speaking, a driver with a QTS above 0.3 will work best in a sealed enclosure, and a driver with a QTS below 0.5 will work best in a vented enclosure. But what I didn't know is that an open baffle speaker system works best with a driver with a QTS above 0.7. These have a QTS of 0.33. Oops. So I didn't select the right speakers for this build. Fair enough. But I also made another mistake. I believe when I first listened to them, I had them too close to the wall that was behind them. What this did was added reflections from the back of the speaker, off the wall, back to my ears, canceling out the mid and low frequencies. I know this because when I put them into the center of the room, when I tested them later, they sounded better. And then when I took them into my little sound testing room, which is just a closet, but it's baffled, there's acoustic absorption in the room, they sounded even better. So placement of the speakers is also really important. So I definitely learned a few things doing this build and talking to people like you and others. The major thing I learned, though, is that open baffle speakers are much more complicated than they look from the outside. I'm definitely going to use what I've learned, the stuff I talked about here and more, in a future rebuild of open baffle speakers. But I didn't want the speakers that I built, these guys, to go, not to waste, but to end here. I wanted to give them a new life, a better life. I don't know. So as I said before, these drivers have a QTS of 0.33, which makes them a great candidate for vented enclosures. So I built some enclosures for them. Vented ones. And they sound pretty good. So I'll have a build video up for the enclosure version of these guys very soon, plus a sound test video for both the shitty open baffle speakers plus these really cool vented versions. Yeah, keep an eye out for those. So I hope you see that it's important to do your research and get all the information you need before you begin a project if you're looking for a specific result. But if your goal is to experiment and learn and just dive into something new, you can use the mistakes you've made to learn and apply that to future builds or anything in the future that you do. And both of those ways are perfectly valid. All right, thanks for listening to me babble. I hope you enjoyed it. I've got links to all my outside of YouTube stuff down in the doop doop. Go check it out. Be nice to each other. And I'll see you soon. All right. Break.